Pay attention. I think that's the biggest thing parents need to do is listen to their kids, communicate, keep that open line of communication with them.
Absolutely.
So definitely pets and kids. Megan, what do you got to throw in there?
Oh man, female adolescents. I know because between the ages of about 11 and 14 for me, I had an increase in sensitivity. And we just moved, but I picked a room, and I really loved the room that I picked, but soon after, I became terrified of the room because I was having things pop up in the room. And the more that I looked into it, female adolescence has a trigger, and it could actually cause things to be drawn to you, spikes in poltergeist-type activity, all that sort of really core haunting type definition stuff. And there's a lot of information out there, and I'm actually working a case dealing with a female adolescent, and it's very interesting because there's some emotional stuff that I'm hitting on that is causing the majority of the paranormal experience that the mother is reporting.
And, you hit so since you brought it up, we'll bring up poltergeist for our next area of looking at. So a lot of times, poltergeists, they can be caused by spirits or entities. There is that, but the first thing we ask clients anytime they talk about something being moved or something thrown is, do you have any adolescents in your home? And the way to fix that is oftentimes grounding. No, don't put them in their room. Don't take the TV away. I know that's where you were going with that. No,
not
grounding,
that type of grounding.
Grounding the energy. Because when they hit that a certain age limit, and I think you pegged it with 11 to 14, they're full of energy. And if you don't have that energy grounded, their emotions will take that energy and manifest it in ways you don't want to deal with. So most of the time we can help the client with that, with grounding. And I'm not going to go into how to ground. We can talk about that next week. But the basic grounding, you're taking energy, putting it into the earth, and pulling energy from the earth back into you. That is a simple grounding. We'll go into more detail next week. But once you've grounded the energy of the adolescents, and usually we teach the parents how to do it so they can teach the kids, then usually the problem will stop. Now, on the team, on the extended care team, we actually, and I got beat up about this last week. How dare you have a minor on your team? Well, she doesn't go on cases. That's what you need to understand. She is usually a telephonic peer. She is there for strictly peer support because kids won't talk to an adult stranger. They're trained not to. So they're not going to talk to the investigators that are dealing with the issue. They're going to talk to another kid, which is why we have a minor, a 12-year-old, actually I think she's 13, on the team that has dealt with paranormal her entire 13 years of life. So she knows what those kids are going through, and she is the perfect peer to talk to them. And she has parental consent for being on the team because her grandmother is on the team as well. So having a peer child on the team is ideal when we're dealing with child cases. Or I'll rephrase that, family cases involving children. But go into what exactly is a poltergeist, Megan?
Oh, man. Okay, so per the definition, it's a German word meaning noisy ghost, correct?
Exactly.
So, noisy ghost, but what we would classify as poltergeist wouldn't necessarily be noises. It's not limited to noises. you think about the word noise, you're going to hear banging, clapper, knocking, words, voices, whispers. It's not only that, it is objects moving, objects disappearing. We have actually dealt with a poltergeist activity where a coffee pot flew off the counter at a restaurant. So that is what a poltergeist is. Something that can manifest enough energy in our realm to actually manipulate physical objects and cause something like a noise. So that is what I would call a poltergeist. If anybody would love to add to it, be my guest.
No, you pretty much hit it on the head. Anyone else got anything to add to poltergeist?
Slimer.
Slimer.
Yeah. I hope we see Slimer next year.
Hey. No laughing. That's true. That's what he was.
It is.
I hope we see Slimer in the new Ghostbusters coming out.
Unless we have food at a party.
Well, yeah. The food's gone.
Then he needs to stay out.
So, yeah. The first thing you look at with a poltergeist case are their adolescents. If there aren't adolescents, then that's where the astral team comes in and identifies what else could be there. So let's talk about shadows. I hear crickets.
What about them?
Shadows.
What do you mean by shadows?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Are we talking shadow people? Just shadows?
Shadows are a sign or symptom of a haunting, are they not?
Yes, they are.
Like your shadow?
So shadows, like Megan said, shadows can be a shadow entity, which is a class of its own. I don't know a whole lot about the specifics of them. Maybe the team does. But shadows can also be spies. And we've encountered that as well on cases where the magical community can send spies in for whatever reason. You might have cut somebody off and they're a magical person. And so they'll send, or you might have flirted with their husband not intentionally. But they're essentially spies. You can banish them. You can trace the energy of the individual that sent them and deal with them in a different way. But there is also an alien race called the Rogue. They are based out of California. They have bases in Italy and off the coast of Germany, which are very ruthless. They are a violent race. They kill. If you see the shadow, you're pretty much going to be done. And those are where people disappear. But they are the ones that have top hats and or cloaks. Not to be mistaken for the Hat Man, because that's a whole other entity. But the Rogue is only active, well, we're in the middle of the peak of activity, because they're active from January to March of every year. Very unique race, and isolated in location. But do you know much about the Shadow Man, Brent or Megan?
Not me personally, really. I haven't really.
The Shadow Man. No, I do not know the Shadow Man. And I don't think I want to.
So, yeah, Cole, you still with us?
Yeah, so you mean shadows that shouldn't be there, that don't belong to a person?
Exactly. And usually with usually with the shadow, yes, they move on their own, and usually you see them in the corner of your eye.
Yes.
You will very
Seems
seldom.
like
These shadow entities you will very seldom actually see in front of you. Occasionally you will, but usually you'll see the shadow moving in the corner of your eye, and you'll kind of turn your head and you'll actually see the shadow.
Yep.
But all of these malevolent entities we treat in the same manner. We go in, we identify it, first of all. What is it? Where did it come from? And then we destroy it. That's the bottom line. So it really doesn't matter what kind of entity it is or where it came from. We're a combat team. We do combat.
Some of them can be talked down without actually having to combat them. Oh.
They can.
And it's actually nicer doing it that way. That way, you're not ruining the team's reputation, I guess you could say, because they're not going to say, "Oh, be careful with this team. They'll just go balls out and kill you."
Well, that's not always a bad thing either. But
true.
Like I said earlier in the show, we don't just roll in and destroy whatever we see. We try to find the root cause, where it come from, why is it here. If it's just confused and is at the same time wondering how it got to our plane, then we help it get home. Same with aliens. We've done that with aliens before too, and I think I talked about that last week or the week before. So we're not going to go into that. But no, we do try to get to the root, try to figure out why it's here, where it came from, and help it get home. Unless it's combative. If it's combative, then we just go to combat and remove it. So anything more on shadows? Because I know we didn't hit on it too much. They're kind of a hard race, if you want to call them, to figure out. Some people have more theories on that. We see them mostly as a malevolent entity, non-demonic, and treat them as such. Unless, again, we can figure out where they came from.
There is one that everybody knows. Everybody on the team knows here.
What's that?
That's you, because every time you shadow a case.
Yeah, okay. But that's not a shadow. That's just, that's just me.
Just kidding.
So let's talk about Fae. Fae are on the rise. And I think Fae are on the rise because, and this is where you really need to watch your pets too. Because your animals, and what's kind of cool is your animals, if we're on a case in your home, they will actually pick up on the astral team. So we've actually had cats and dogs follow the team around. And I'll be on chat with the client. The client's going, well, my dog just ran down the hall. And all of a sudden, Tony, for example, will pop up and say, oh, don't worry about it. I'm in the hall. And your dog's following me around. Perfect example of how your pets pick up, non-normal energies in your home. But Fae don't like cats. We had one case where the cat was actually picked up. You can see it picked up in the video. And come to find out, they had done remodeling in the bathroom. And for whatever reason, the Fae liked the bathroom. We had another case where they did landscaping. They had a fairy altar laid out, but they didn't give anything to the Fae. And, well, that right there is, you don't do that. If you put an altar out to something, you give it something. That's a good way to anger something. And then there's the ones that you don't poke with sticks. Ain't that right, Brent?
I was just beginning.
Oh. And I don't see Joe in the chat room, but Joe would get a kick out of the pointy sticks. Yeah, don't poke Fae with pointy sticks. You just don't do that. That's a good way to get them mad at you.
It was funny though. I mean, you're bringing it up.
Yeah, you would have to be there.
So our new house has a giant stump right in front of the driveway, like right beside it. And my wife, Kayla, wants to put in a fairy garden.
Well, that's great.
But she's not the greatest at keeping up on those type of things.
Okay, so here's what you do. You put your fairy garden out. You set up an altar for the Fae if you want. And you incorporate the family into it. Tell your kids, tell your daughter to go out